Well, hello guys, and welcome to a new Age of Empires tutorial. In this tutorial I want to speak a little bit about walling, because it's a really big topic, more than you would expect, and I want to show you some things about it. So let's get right into it. First thing is that you have two possibilities how to wall. First possibility is that you wall from a forest, for example, to your town center, so that crossing enemies have to walk through your town center to get to your most important resources. The other possibility is to just wall around your town. There are a few ups and downs for both possibilities. If you wall straight to your town center, it's really good that the enemy is getting a lot of damage as soon as he doesn't watch out and walks under your town center. And you can quick wall very fast with your farming villagers to make the maze longer and longer, so that the enemy units just take more and more damage. On the downside, you can hit half of your villagers which are outside of your town center, and also you have far less building space, which makes this technique rather preferred in the early ages, where the enemy ranged units can't hit your villagers without the town center firing back. The technique that is preferred most of the times is walling completely around your base. And the first thing you notice about it is that it takes a lot of time to wall. So you should do a lot of techniques how to do it without spending as much villager time. So shorten your walling time by using anything that can help you make your wall a little bit smaller and faster. Not only forests, for example, or cliffs, but also the buildings you have to build anyway. For example, if you have to build a house, just build it as your wall. Besides shortening the time, it also makes your wall much stronger, because a house has much more HP than a palisade. But when it comes to military buildings, you should always build them in the front wall, so that if an enemy army comes over, you can't just ungarrison your army straight away, instead of slowly moving them from the back of your base to the front, while the enemy is already hitting your villagers. Overall, you should use the garrison feature to hit the enemy army with surprise, or even trick them by just putting one single unit inside of your building, and the enemy may think that you're making a big army and retreat from one single unit. So the next question would be, when should you start walling? And it's not so easy to answer. If you see an enemy barracks very early, and maybe a few militias, you should make a quick wall. Which means you just take the villagers, for example at the berries and at the wood, and wall a few pieces of palisade so that the militia just can't barely reach. So they will stand outside of your palisade and be worthless. But watch out that your villagers still can reach the camp or mill. Or, if you don't see a barracks, you should at least wait until you clicked up to the second age to use a villager to start walling. But be careful, if you don't wall fast enough, and your enemy gets some scouts into your base, for example, then you are fucked, because then your wall isn't complete and he's gonna block any further walling with his scouts. And this is where you want to combine walling and scouting, because as soon as you see your enemy doing anything like a barracks and going aggressive, you should wall up very quickly. And if you wall really quickly, you want to wall not far from your main resources, so that you can always send a villager over in case the enemy is threatening your wall, so you can just wall behind it and delay him a little bit. And there's a little trick how you can do this very easily. Just take a 4x4 building, for example a siege workshop or a university, and the enemy has 5 tiles to reach you, so it's much harder for the enemy to stop your villagers from building, and also it blocks a lot more of the wall. In theory, it would be the best if you were in 3rd age or later and just build a siege workshop, so you can instantly put out a mangonel, because the mangonel is the ultimate defense unit for walls, because it defeats rams and archers easily. Even though I still have a lot of tricks about walling, I don't want to make this video too long. So I'm just gonna tell you a few more small tricks, and with that I'm gonna leave it for the next video. Alright, so quick tip number 1, you can wall around the building to disable it. Number 2, it's always a nice surprise if you just delete a little palisade, move your whole army through to hit an attacking enemy army from behind. And then fix it up with a villager, or move a villager through, or anything else. And tip number 3, just keep building your buildings behind your wall to make it even stronger and stronger. And last but not least, delete a single piece of palisade and put all of your archers inside of that piece to prevent enemy melee units from hitting them easily. So I hope you learned something useful, and we will see each other in the next video. Until then, goodbye guys.